Welcome to the local campaign here on Rogers TV. Our focus today on the riding of Glengarry, Prescott and Russell. Before I introduce you to our candidates, I'll go over the format. The format differs from previous years where we have a debate format, but because of differing circumstances, we're going to a virtual format. So this will be a question and answer session for all of our candidates. They will have time to have an opening statement of 60 seconds, followed by a number of questions. Again, 60 seconds to answer all of those questions, and then each candidate will have an opportunity for a closing statement, 60 seconds as well. I will introduce our candidates right now in alphabetical order. First up, Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party, Alicia Eglin of the NDP, Thaila Riden of the Green Party, and Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party. First up, Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party. You have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
So I am not a politician, not a seasoned politician. I'm a family man with 7 children. I run a farm in Alexandria. I was a businessman for 30 years, 25 years. I worked with street kids prior to that. I'm a person who loves the community, who's active in my community, who participates in my community. I recently sold my businesses, and a friend of mine said to me, Victor, you want to be the change that you want to see? I think you should put your hat in the ring and become a candidate for the coming up election. And so that's what I did. I decided that I would represent the New Blue in Glengarry-Prescott-Russell and become the change that I want to see. And so I'm here. I'm here asking you to consider New Blue as the option for change in Ontario, for change in Glengarry-Prescott-Russell.
Next, Alicia Eglin of the NDP. You have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Perfect. Hi, thank you for having me on here. I'm Alicia Eglin. I'm the candidate for Glengarry-Prescott-Russell. I'm so honored to be on the ballot this year in this election cycle. I am so proud to represent these communities. And I'm feeling just very welcomed and accepted. And I am so happy to be able to fight for a better Ontario here. Over the last 4 years, we've seen a lot of budget cuts, a lot of mistakes made by the Ford government. We've seen mishandling of the pandemic and the crisis. We've seen the housing crisis degrade and get much, much worse. I am grateful to be able to have the opportunity to come in and step in and help out where is needed, and I'm happy to announce my candidacy. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to represent the good people of Glengarry-Prescott-Russell. Thank you so much.
Thaila Riden of the Green Party, is now time for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. I'm Thaila Riden, and I'm the Green candidate for Glengarry-Prescott and Russell. I would like to welcome and acknowledge that we are gathered here on the unceded lands of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples, and that the Ontario Greens are committed to the truth and reconciliation process. I live in East Hawkesbury, and I love and appreciate our farm country rich in natural heritage. Sadly, I am more anxious with each passing year, experiencing firsthand more heat waves and drought affecting farms, violent storms damaging buildings, and friends and businesses flooded. I have friends and family living on pensions, struggling to survive and find homes. I worry for them. I'm running as a Green to protect our way of life and help transition our riding into a sustainable and prosperous future. Our Green platform is a transparently costed and fiscally responsible plan that actually addresses the deep cracks in Ontario's foundation, one that leaves nobody behind.
Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Amanda Simard. I'm the Ontario Liberal candidate for this provincial election in Glengarry-Prescott-Russell, where I was born and raised and where I live, a place that is very special to me. I was elected in 2018 as the member of provincial parliament, but I was also the municipal councillor in Russell, Embrun, Limoges, and Marionville from 2014 to 2018. And before that, and during that time, I was also a a political staffer on Parliament Hill, and so I worked at the 3 levels of government, and I understand the importance of all 3 levels working together and their respective roles. And I studied law at the University of Ottawa. But I really like being on the ground and helping people directly and practically, and so that is why I'm running again. I'm seeking a second mandate, and I hope that I can count on your support on June 2nd.
Our first question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds.
As a party, we've decided as part of our platform that we would reduce the taxes, reduce HST, scrap the carbon tax. The carbon tax is not doing what it's supposed to do. There's other better solutions to that problem. And we would empower Ontarians with more disposable income so that they can invest in the economy through buying and living. Lower the price of electricity. Electricity is being oversold, overpriced for whatever reason, not acceptable. Remove the wind turbines that are in our Glengarry-Prescott-Russell, which really are costing millions and millions of dollars, destroying our water, destroying our land, and corrupting the economy. So those are some of the key changes that we would do, and invest in small business.
Same question for Alicia Eglin of the NDP. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Of course. So part of the NDP platform this year is creating 1 million jobs. And these are going to be 1 million high-paying jobs. We're going to be increasing the minimum wage by 2025 to $20 an hour. We're also going to be introducing things like $10 a day not-for-profit childcare. So a lot of the things we're doing here are to help the everyday Canadian. We're looking for better opportunities in the workplace, better healthcare. We're looking to enroll more healthcare programs under OHIP. So things like pharmacare, mental health care, therapy sessions, stuff like that. So really we're looking at everything we can do. We're looking to reduce housing costs. We're looking to make housing more affordable by constructing 100,000 new affordable homes. We're looking to make the world an easier place, Ontario an easier place to live in. And we're looking to make Ontario better and greener and safer.
Same question to Thaila Riden of the Green Party. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Thank you for the question. On the cost of living, we would make sure that we would be procuring as much as possible locally produced food. Our agriculture sector, especially in our riding, is an important industry that we will need to leverage more. We'll also be encouraging public transit to cut fares in half, so that way, for those who can access transit, we'll be able to use that. With the carbon pricing, we will make sure that the money goes back to people's pockets so they can afford the trips for their jobs and for their food. Furthermore, to affordable housing, we're going to make sure that on the supply end, we're going to attack vacant homes with an increased tax on vacant homes. We're also going to make it easier for developers to build in gentle density and infill zones in urban areas.
Same question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, that's a great question because I've been hearing it at the door, almost every door. The cost of living is just unaffordable if you look at homes, if you look at food, gas prices. So we've done our platform, developed our platform around that, and we have 19 specific measures, and I won't name them all. There are many, but it's all on our website, OntarioLiberal.ca, for the platform. But just a few examples for seniors that are there's things for seniors, for parents, for the general public, for students, for young people. And so, for example, for seniors, we want to double the provincial portion of the OAS, the old age security. We want to remove the HSD on prepared foods under $20. The Bucka Ride, the famous Bucka Ride, but it's also an investment in our public transit infrastructure. Even where there isn't any transit, we want to expand it and ensure every Ontarian has access.
Next question. Our healthcare system buckled during the pandemic. Considering that healthcare is by far the largest provincial expenditure, how can it be fixed without raising taxes substantially? Alicia Eglin of the NDP, you have 60 seconds.
So I'd like to address the raising taxes substantially. Within the NDP financial plan, we are planning to raise taxes on those who can most afford it. So that is the billionaires and the corporations who have thus far haven't been paying their fair share. Part of our healthcare plan is expanding coverage, as well as expanding the pay for nurses and healthcare workers, so that they can better afford the lives that they live. Oh, sorry, and so that they can better contribute to our society. Most of those issues are investments. They're going to be paying themselves back over time. They're not necessarily increasing expenditures if they're putting money back into the province. So better healthcare leads to a healthier Ontario, leads to a better workforce, leads to more growth over time. That's how we're going to be doing it. That's how we're going to expand our healthcare and keep taxes low on the average citizen.
Same question to Thaila Riden of the Green Party. Our healthcare system buckled during the pandemic. Considering that healthcare is by far the largest provincial expenditure, how can it be fixed without raising taxes substantially?
Thank you for the question. First off, we have a lot of nurses potential. A lot of newcomers have medical training, and we're going to look to fast track and get those individuals with healthcare experience into the workforce. We're also going to be making sure that for mental health services, we want to make sure that they're covered under OHIP. We'll increase the budget from to 10%. We will also reverse the license plate sticker gimmick and make sure that that $1 billion loss in revenue can be redirected back to healthcare to fund things like expanding mental health care services. We'll be making sure to hire more nurses, and we'll be repealing Bill 124 so that way nurses, PSWs can make a decent wage.
Same question. Our healthcare system buckled during the pandemic. Considering that healthcare is by far the largest provincial expenditure, how can it be fixed without raising taxes substantially? Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
Thanks for that question. Very important question. And we have many candidates who are in that sector. We even have a CEO of a hospital as one of our candidates who worked on developing the platform and our policies. And we've been hearing it at the door as well, that it's not always about money. There's efficiency and systems that are in place that could be better. And so we need to take a really good look at how we can change that and make sure that we're using all of the resources very efficiently, and that professionals are talking to each other, and the system is better. And so this is a system from decades ago that we need to review, because it is one of the most, if not the most important system we have in Ontario, as you've pointed out. And we need to have people, we need to be serving people and making sure that they're looked after and they're feeling the result of this system that is not adequately financed, but also is not efficient.
Same question. Our healthcare system buckled during the pandemic. Considering that healthcare is by far the largest provincial expenditure, how can it be fixed without raising taxes substantially? Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds.
One of the critical issues with the healthcare system is the over-administration, the heavy administration, the cost of running the system versus the money that's being put into the system. Yes, money is put into the system. Yes, all governments try, but there's too much administration. Administration that pays millions and millions of dollars in salaries and unneeded things to get medicine working. We can't find a family doctor in our community. That's outrageous. There's doctors that are graduating, doctors that want to work, but the system doesn't give them the ability or the permission to be able to do that. The access to health has been made so difficult and so complicated that we can't go and get it. We need to change and restructure the system. The money is there without raising the taxes, and we can correct and modify how we're spending it.
Next question. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers? Thaila Riden of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
We would make sure that in the gig economy that there would be protections available for workers. We would be legislating paid sick days from 8 sick days to 10. We would also be making sure that there would be a Transparency Act. We would bring that back as well. And that way, the gig economy, we want to make sure there is a backing. And as we've explained in our platform, I do invite you to check it out. We do have protections for workers in that sector.
Same question, Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers?
Thank you for that question. As a society, we're modernizing, and different jobs are appearing, and people are getting creative, having different types of work. We need to be, as a government, need to be following this and ensuring that no one gets taken advantage of. And so we have in our platform protections, and we want to stop big companies into really penalizing and not treating the workers fairly for the gig economy and different sectors that are not regulated, that are not properly, that don't have a legal framework. And so we do want that. We also want every single Ontarian to have the benefits package, the insurance, the dental, and a lot of Ontarians don't have those social advantages, those benefits package. And so it's really important that every Ontarian has that, and we have that in our platform, and we're committed to ensuring that.
Same question, Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers?
So, as an employee, an employer who's had hundreds of employees through my life, I always said to the employee that your job security is based on how we perform as a group, how we work together as a group. As an independent and as an entrepreneur, your job security is the service that you offer. Your job security is the attitude and the way that you present yourself to the people. No one owes you anything. Nobody owes me anything. I am here to serve. I am here to give. I am here to participate and contribute in my community. I think the important key in business is that we realize the responsibility is for each of us to stand up together and to participate together. And that's how we grow together.
Same question. More and more employees find themselves in non-traditional roles as freelancers or as self-employed workers. What kind of labor protections and benefits would you offer these workers? Alicia Eglin of the NDP, you have 60 seconds.
So as part of the NDP, we are very pro-union, and we are very pro-expanding healthcare and worker protections. So part of that is increasing coverage of healthcare, making homes more affordable. So we're reducing the risk factor for being an independent worker. Part of the other options is introducing expanded minimum wage opportunities, as well as expanding sick leave and parental care, as well as parental leave. So these are government-funded programs as well. We're also going to be expanding, offering renters direct financial contributions that they can help, so we can help pay their rent. So these are all ways that we can expand people who are like part of the gig economy or are independent contractors, who are really like becoming the real linchpins of our society. These are people who are holding us up. They're getting us to our jobs. They're helping us out everywhere they can. So it's important that we are there for them.
Next question. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times? Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, I come from a farming family. My aunts and my uncles and my friends are farmers, and many of my constituents, as you know. And so I know the importance of supporting our farmers, but also looking at policies through that farming lens to ensure that they're not penalized and there aren't any unintended consequences on them. For example, with the carbon tax, we know that it affects farmers unfairly and differently, and so we need to be supporting them. And in our platform, we have increasing that credit for the carbon tax for farmers, because we know it's difficult, if not impossible, to find the machinery and the systems to have the pollution. It's like buying an electric vehicle in the year 2000, right? So we need to be helping them. We also want to stop the unfair negotiations with the big retailers, with farmers that have the monopoly. So we do have that in our platform.
We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times? Victor Brassard of New Blue, you have 60 seconds.
The best way to support the farmers is to talk to the farmers, to meet with the farmers, to listen to the farmers. Supporting the farmers isn't writing blank checks. Supporting the farmers isn't telling them what to do. Supporting the farmers is giving them more freedoms and more abilities to grow and produce and succeed in what they are already doing. We need to listen to each other. We need to trust each other. We need to, leaders, if you expect someone to come into office and have all the answers, then you're falling into the trap of governments that will control you and manipulate you. As a candidate, as your elect, I do not want to manipulate you or control you. I want to work with you to find solutions and to correct the problems, and you have the answers to those problems.
Same question to Alicia Eglin of the NDP. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times?
So the NDP is a huge supporter of rural communities and agriculture in general. One of the things that has been really harming farmers currently is rights to repair their own vehicles. So these are things like John Deere not allowing farmers to repair their own vehicles without software that costs upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars. The NDP has protections for those. So we're going to be going after those corporations. We're going to be making sure that we have a right to repair for everyone. One of the other things we're going to be doing is planting more trees, so making our environment healthier so that crops grow better, so that we have more of a safety net for all Ontarians. We're also going to be expanding opportunities within rural communities. We're going to be creating 1 million jobs. And these will help better support our farmers, and they will help grow our economy at the same time.
Same question to Thaila Riden of the Green Party. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times?
Thank you for the question. We will be helping our farmers transition to a cleaner economy. First off, we do plan to phase out fossil fuel subsidies, but we will keep the subsidies for farmers and Indigenous to fly-in communities. We'll be also supporting the grain farmers' appeal to the federal government to have a carbon tax exemption on grain drying. We understand this is a transition. This cannot be done overnight, but we will be looking to explore alternatives once they're present. We're going to be taking carbon pricing and using funds to invest and bring up things like grain drying to be cleaner processes. We'll be also covering losses for farms going from chemical agriculture to soil health agriculture. Up to 10 years, we'll be covering any losses that they incur. We'll be offering incentives and insurance discounts on practices like regenerative agriculture using rotational grazing and cover crops. We'll be there for farmers.
Next question. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy? Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds.
Lower taxes, lower the HST, take away the carbon tax, invest in small business, encourage small business, support small business, invest in sustainable, reliable, and dependable businesses. I think that by shutting people down, the mandates, closing businesses, closing restaurants, taking away people's livelihood because of fear and because of this pandemic, as you say, we have destroyed and hurt the economy. We need to open our doors. We need to let people trust people to make the right decisions in order to be successful. By closing them down, by restricting them, by putting roadblocks in front of them, we have hurt our economy.
Same question to Alicia Eglin of the NDP. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy?
So the economy is in dire straits. And the reason that's been happening is that we've had increased budget cuts. We've had 15 years of Liberal slashes, and then we've had an extra 4 years of Conservative cuts on top of a global pandemic that has obviously harmed our ability to be in the workplace. The NDP is planning on expanding healthcare. So these are creating jobs. We're going to be creating 1 million jobs. We're going to be building more houses. We're going to be expanding our environment protection plans under the Green New Democratic Deal. These are all things that will encourage economic invigoration, that will reduce the cost of groceries, of gas, and of housing. And these will help the economy flow better. We're also going to be increasing taxes on the richest of us, the people who are not paying their fair share. And that will reduce wealth inequality, which we've seen consistently harms the economy and harms our growth. Thank you.
Thaila Riden of the Green Party, same question for you. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy?
Thank you for that. Again, with our riding being 80% geographically agriculture, we would leverage that potential. We would be protecting farmland. We also have a manufacturing sector that we can revitalize. We have the Ring of Fire up north in Northern Ontario, and partnering with Indigenous communities and making sure we sustainably and environmentally sensitively mine those materials. We have cobalt, we have lithium, we have nickel. We can set up an in-province, Ontario-based battery manufacturing sector. We can set up a recycling manufacturing sector to take care of these items at end of life so we can return them back to the beginning of production in a circular economy. And we're going to leverage the manufacturing sector to build these batteries in the province. We're going to offer rebates for electric vehicles that we build in Ontario so people can afford them. Up to $10,000 for a new vehicle, $1,000 for a used vehicle, and $1,000 for an e-bike.
Same question. How would you help rebuild Ontario's economy? Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, we need to invest in our small businesses and support them because they are what's driving our economy. But we also need people to have good paying jobs, right, and are paid a living wage. And so this is why when we want to have the minimum, the salary, the minimum wage to $16, this is temporary until we can see regionally what people need to survive and to actually thrive and to help businesses. We also want to, because of the pandemic, we know businesses have been hard hit. We want to have 2 years of pause on the taxes, the corporate taxes, very important. And so we want to support our small businesses, our workers, and we want to build trust in our economy and invite people from elsewhere, companies from elsewhere to be in Ontario, which should be a place to grow. We're the powerhouse of Canada, and we need to be making sure that we're attracting the companies and the workers.
It is now time for your closing statements. Each candidate has 60 seconds, and we'll do this in reverse alphabetical order, starting with Amanda Simard of the Liberal Party. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you. In 2018, Ontarians sent a strong message to the Ontario Liberal Party, and since then we've rolled up our sleeves, rebuilt the party, developed policies, a platform, a fully costed platform that we're proud of because it was developed with consultation on the ground, thousands of conversations, and we really adjusted to your priorities. And so we trust that you'll be satisfied with everything that's in our platform and to grow our economy, to make sure we're back on track after really hard years with the pandemic and many other obstacles. We need to be working together. And this is a team effort. This is not a partisan situation. This is really us working together with Ontarians and helping to rebuild, just as we rebuilt the party, and we're ready to govern, and we hope that we can count on your support on June 2nd.
Thaila Riden of the Green Party, it is now time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
The time is now for meaningful and serious action. The Green Party of Ontario has a vision for a bright, healthy, sustainable, and fun future for all Ontarians, where we can afford to live in the places we love, and our loved ones have access to services they need so they can live a life filled with dignity, joy, and opportunity. And we can work on building a cleaner, more resilient Ontario together. I will listen to and amplify your voice at Queen's Park to make sure that we are heard. On June 2nd, I ask that you make the choice to vote for the Ontario you want. Ontario Greens and I are ready with the leadership we need to make this happen. Vote Green. I need you. Thank you. Miigwech. Merci.
Alicia Eglin of the NDP, it's time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so happy I had the opportunity to be here. I'd just like to close out by reminding everyone that we've had nearly 19 years of cuts. We've had 19 years of slashes, and it's time that we build back. It's time that we move forward and that we choose someone who we can trust, because we've seen that we can't trust the Liberals with their cutting of healthcare, of our education systems, and with their cuts, with their selling off of Hydro One, for example. And we've seen that we can't trust the Conservatives with their mismanagement of pandemic responses and their budget cuts to healthcare again. So we're hoping to build a better Ontario, a greener Ontario, and an Ontario that is safer and more profitable for all Ontarians. Thank you.
Victor Brassard of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to represent you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand up and raise my hand and say, I want to make a difference. I want to share with you. I want to walk with you. I want to understand what your grievances are and bring them to Queen's Park. I want to be able to represent you in truth, in integrity, and to bring freedom to the people, not to bring restrictions. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. I walk the streets and I'm meeting you, and I am so grateful and appreciative of the support that you are giving me. And I don't want to be your leader. I want to be the citizen that represents you and works with you, runs with you, and succeeds with you. Together, we can do this.
Thank you to all of our candidates for joining us today. I want to remind our viewers, of course, to get out there and vote and to tune in to our in-depth coverage here on election night, right here on Rogers TV.